Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Hey, car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meyer.
Green flag, green flag.
After a devastating injury to start the season in which he misses 11 races, Kyle Busch battles all the way back and is a first-time Sprint Cup Series champion. Also, Chris Buescher wins the Xfinity Series title, and Erik Jones is the youngest ever Camping World Truck Series champion. I'm Woody Cain, joined by Justin Allgaier, who's just finished up his own Sprint Cup campaign. Joey Meyer, two-spotter, is on special assignment, but don't worry, don't panic. We will be hearing from him a little bit later today. How was your weekend in Miami?
Well, it was good because we got the races in, all three races in, and we were home when the weekend was over. But we had a rough go at our race. We had early on there was some oil got laid down. Yeah,
the Denny Hamlin situation, you got swept up in that, right?
I didn't, not necessarily directly, but indirectly. I think there were 5 of us that all synchronized, crashed at the same time, and hit the wall down in turn 3 and 4, which unfortunately kind of put us behind. You know, we were able to come into the first caution, fix up some of the damage, but ended up, I think, having 3 or 4 flat tires from the damage throughout the course of the night. Yeah.
Wow, that's not the way you want to remember 2015 when it ends that way, but at least you weren't alone. There's that.
At least we weren't alone. Yeah, unfortunately, everybody else that hit it, though, it's like it made their car faster, and mine, it just kept blowing the tires out.
How does that work? I've heard that many times. Sometimes it just does, but how in the world does that even happen?
You know, I really don't know. I mean,
are you not crashing correctly or what?
I guess not. You know, these guys spend hours at the shop and building these cars and making sure that the bodies are perfectly, you know, to the absolute limit. And then we go out and scrape the right side up and say, oh, it went faster. I think we just get aggravated and know what the limits are. Maybe it clearances the car more. I'm not sure. But when you're running up against the wall at Homestead, you know, you're right up. I mean, you're literally
up against
inches.
The wall is up against it.
And to hear that and to feel that, you know, when you're out there, because when you're up against the wall like that, it actually, you can hear it. Mm-hmm. The pitch of the engine changes sound because the exhaust is on the right, so it changes sound, and you know it's bad when it goes quiet. You know, if it gets really loud, you're good because that means it's kind of coming back into the door. But when it goes quiet, that usually means the exhaust is buried in the wall.
Oof.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, it's so much of a fun racetrack that I think that we saw a lot of action all weekend long. We saw 3 great races.
Do you wish we raced there twice a year?
I do. The only problem is where do you put it in the schedule? Because it was already miserably hot, you know, this late in the season. I mean, we're here in the 30s and 40s in Charlotte, and it was in the 80s and 90s while we're down there. So I just don't know where you would put it unless you put it before Daytona in February, and that just doesn't work.
Right. It's not going to be much fun in August, I'm thinking.
No.
Not for
July,
you inside
August.
the car, anyway.
I don't know that. I think the tires would literally melt off the car while
They
you're
might.
out there. Yeah.
They might for sure. Listen, we've got a big show coming up for you this afternoon. We have the champion of the Camping World Truck Series, Erik Jones. He'll be along a little bit later. The champion of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Chris Buescher, will be along a little bit later. Also, Joey Meyer will call. He's in South Florida still to give us his thoughts on what happened at Homestead, Miami this past weekend. We'll get to some of your calls on the Fan Forum hotline that came in over the weekend, and during the program we'll be taking your Twitter questions as well. Use that hashtag AskMRN at MRN Radio on Twitter so we can get to your questions. Just looking back on the championship on the Cup side, satisfying? You happy with the way things developed, or would you like to have seen something different? A lot of fans had a lot of different opinions, and it was certainly a crazy chase.
It was a crazy chase. You know, for me, I think anytime you come down to the end of the race, you've got 4 guys that really legitimately have a shot at getting that championship, you know, all running together. You know, nobody crashed. Nobody got busted on pit road. You know, there was a couple of times that I think Martin had they got behind a little bit farther. I think they took 2 tires and got behind.
They tried it to get some track position, and it put them backwards.
The only thing for me, if I'm really the 78 or even maybe Jeff Gordon, you know you're a little bit behind. Try to take 2 on the last stop. I mean, granted, it probably isn't going to work
in a longer run, but maybe in a shorter run.
Maybe to get going, it would help. I know our car, when we put 2 tires on, totally screwed up the balance, and it wasn't pretty, but we had to because of damage. But I just, you know, at the end of the day, it came down to, again, the guy winning the race. And I think At one point in the race, all 4 chase guys were in the top 5, and they were racing there. So, I think from my standpoint, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Come down to the end of the year, have the 4 best cars going for it. They proved they were the 4 best cars that they were running top 4. So, yeah, I think
what more could you ask for?
Right. We talked a little bit about the trucks in the Xfinity, even though they were great championships, and even though the deserving car won it. When you get to Homestead and the point system the way that it was,
it's the old school system. You want a little more oomph to it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it definitely felt like the chase has provided that. Now, whether you love it or hate it, it typically depends on whether or not your favorite driver was either in or out, or if he won the race or not. But I think for me, there definitely was a huge difference between Friday and Saturday and then Sunday.
Absolutely. Let's hear what it sounded like on that last lap when Kyle Busch took the championship.
35 races are complete. The final lap of race number 36. The white flag is in the air. Out over the season. Out over Kyle Busch. He goes back to turn number 1 a final time.
Into turn 1, about a car length off the bottom of the racetrack. He is all by himself off turn number 2. Checkered flag will fly this time. It's Kyle Busch on his way to the win of the title.
Here he comes off the end of the back straightaway for the final time. Kyle Busch steers his Toyota Camry to the bottom of the racetrack, looking for some serious hardware in Homestead.
It will be win number 34 for Kyle Busch. It will be the biggest one he's ever seen. The checkered flag is out. The win goes to Kyle Busch. The championship goes to Kyle Busch. He has done it here in Homestead, Miami Speedway. Kyle Busch is the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion.
Couple of things jump out at me there. As you mentioned, the guy who wins the race is champion. I think Brian France said earlier he fully expected whoever won the race would wind up being the champion because your best 4 are there. But there's been some pushback a little bit on some of the social media from fans who say, well, he missed 11 races, he shouldn't be eligible. But he didn't make the rule.
Yeah, I guess I look at it differently. He still had an uphill battle to come back, to get in the top 30 in points, to win races. Let's be honest, this sport is all about being relevant. And when you sit out of a race car for even a week, you feel the effects of it. So I think that from my standpoint, obviously, it would have been great if he would have been in the car all season to see what he would have really been able to do. But I think it had been different. If he would have gone out and gotten hurt, riding a bike or snowboarding or playing basketball or something like that, I don't feel like that the exemption would have been made. I think for being in a NASCAR race, even though it was the Xfinity Series, I think being in a NASCAR race and getting hurt doing that, I think that they really owed it to him.
Yeah.
Not necessarily owed it to him, but they felt like it was their obligation to give him that exemption. And obviously, nothing in this sport is ever guaranteed. So to be able to go out there and to make good on that exemption, I think definitely proves that they were going to be competitive regardless of whether he set the first 11 races out or not.
Joey Meyer pointed out earlier that when the Dolphins back in the 70s went undefeated and won the championship, Bob Greasy was hurt, the quarterback, for most of that season. But he still got the ring at the end because he followed the rest of the rules and did what had to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just circumstances. That's the one part about our sport that's really tough, is that it's kind of a moving target at all times, and the circumstances are always dictated by something that usually is out of our control. So, I think that in this situation, I think they got it right, and I think obviously Kyle has matured as a race car driver.
He seems like a different guy this year after becoming a father and the injury and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you just see a different Kyle. Now, I don't deal with him on a day-to-day basis. I love racing with him, and really all the competitors out there I've enjoyed racing with, but you just see a different Kyle. And I don't know if this sparks, a run like Jimmy Johnson had, or if this is a flash in the pan and you win the championship and may not ever win one again. You don't know. And I think that's what the beauty of this sport is that there's a constant moving target, and you just got to try and hit it.
Even one is so difficult. That's why everybody is battling for it, and it's the pinnacle of the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, you look, there are guys that have been what we consider super successful race car drivers that would give up every accolade they'd ever gotten to win one championship.
Yeah, even winning a race is hard, much less a championship.
Exactly. Yeah. And today, in today's time, where the cars are so close and these teams are every little detail that they can make up, is that much better, you're really hoping that you get it right that week. And to be able to win a race, you have to be at 100%.
All right. Justin Allgaier is with us, filling in for Joey Meyer, who's on special assignment. We will hear from him a little bit later. We'll also hear from Xfinity Series champ Chris Buescher. When we come back, we will hear as well from the Camping World Truck Series champion Erik Jones. But as we go to break, here's what Kyle Busch said from Victory Lane after he won the championship yesterday.
From a hospital bed in Daytona Beach, Florida, to the championship driver in 2015, your immediate thoughts and emotions?
This is just so unbelievable, so amazing, and means so much right here, right now, and probably will for a long, long time to come. But just the opportunity, the amount of people that have poured their life and soul into everything that Kyle Busch does and is about, from M&M's to Toyota to Snickers and Twix and Skittles, Stanley, Joe Gibbs and his family, and all of Joe Gibbs Racing, everyone that gave me such a fast race car here tonight to drive. It was so much fun. This is just a dream come true, and my family, my wife, my son, to have him this year and to have everything we've gone through this year to be in this moment, I don't know what else to say, but this is so special.
A lot of accolades. Go enjoy it.
Thank you.
Kyle Busch is your 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Tickets are moving fast for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, February 21st, and it's your one chance to be a part of the biggest race in a generation. The all-new Daytona is 31 million pounds of steel, forged by racing's greatest legends in the heat of battle for the most coveted trophy in NASCAR, the 2016 Daytona 500. Now, forever. Seats at the all-new Daytona will sell out. Guarantee yours now at 1-800-PIT-SHOP or Daytona500.com.
Hey, I'm Casey Cain. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Here he comes, last time up the back straightaway here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Matt Crafton dives into turn number 3, looking to take home the checkered flag in South Florida here tonight.
The two-time and defending series champion will not make it 3 in a row, but he will win for the 6th time this season. Matt Crafton across the line, and he scores the win in the Ford EcoBoost 200.
Erik Jones will finish in the 6th spot tonight, and he will clinch the 2015 championship.
Matt Crafton did what he had to do at Homestead. Unfortunately, from the week before at Phoenix, it wasn't enough. But a two-time defending champ wins the season finale, but Erik Jones gets the championship.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. I mean, you know, let's be honest. If it, as we just talked about, if it had been the new chase format, Matt would have ended up winning the championship.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think obviously Matt had a great weekend, surpassed Ron Hornaday for the most series starts, and 6th win of the season. I mean, just a crazy year as far as stats go.
Yeah.
And then to not walk away with the championship it's got to be tough. But at the same time, we talked about Erik Jones did a great job. They knew what they had to do going into Homestead, and they did it, and they won the championship.
Absolutely. We had a chance to chat with him, and here's what it sounded like. And we'd like to welcome back to the program now the 2015 Camping World Truck Series champion, Erik Jones. And I bet you're not getting tired of hearing that just yet, are you?
No, not yet at all, for sure. It's definitely an exciting couple of days and going to enjoy it here for a while.
Tell me about, let's start with the race at Homestead, because you knew you had a certain number, you knew the math coming in. Did you guys approach that race with the same aggressiveness that you had coming down the stretch, or were you just thinking, do what we got to do and let the rest take care of itself?
Well, we approached it, you know, with the same mentality that we had all year, but I think we raced it with a pretty conservative mentality. Just, you know, do what we needed to do, take it easy. There's no reason to go out and need to win the race. We need to run, you know, top 10, and we did that. We ran 6th, and, you know, that was more than enough to be able to seal the championship up, and definitely felt good and felt relaxing to just to take the checkered flag and have that whole deal over with.
When was the last time you could say that you felt relaxed? Because this thing got pretty intense coming down the stretch. I mean, you look back to Phoenix and hear you and the two-time defending champ get all tangled up, and next thing you know, it's a big turmoil.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting for the last few weeks. You know, we picked up a win at Texas, and that was a huge momentum booster. And then Phoenix, obviously, everybody had quite a situation. So that was definitely kind of a turning point after that. The point situation, I wasn't too concerned. The 19 made up more points in that deal than I would have hoped. But, you know, going into Homestead, we had a nice cushion, 19 points. But he definitely had to have a super day. And I kind of watched him throughout the day and saw that, you know, he was running third, fourth, fifth. He got up close to the front at one point, but never really was leading the race. So at that point, I wasn't too concerned. Knew really that all we had to do was finish, and I wasn't too concerned that we would be able to do that.
It's kind of like that deal where you've got a brand new car and then you park way back at the back of the parking lot so you're not near anybody. Protect it.
That's a good metaphor. I think that's by far the least aggressive I think I've ever raced in any NASCAR series. Just, you know, taking the green flag on a restart, letting everything kind of sort out. I don't think I've ever lost so many spots on a restart, and then just settle into a hole, and, you know, we'd go back to work, and if we could get a spot, we'd take it. But really just rode around for most of the day.
We're making it sound like it was calm, cool, and collected, but I know back in the middle part of the season, you had lost a couple of times on last lap passes, had a few mechanical glitches here and there along the way. I think it was after Gateway, you had a finish in the 20s, dropped to third in the standings, 20-some points back. Do you see that as a turning point in the season, and what clicked for you guys after that?
I do. I think that was kind of the race where, you know, we realized I realized I can't race like that every week and can't just, you know, go for the win like that every week. There's no reason to, you know, push or press that hard to go get the win when you can just run second, honestly, and salvage your day and live to fight another weekend. And, you know, after that, you know, it showed. We reeled off top 10 finishes all the way to the end of the year from Gateway on. So that's a pretty strong feat for our team. And I think, you know, I myself realized that I just needed to go run top 10 every week. And if the win's there, you know, take it. And we did. We won 2 more races after that, or 3 more races. We won all our races after that weekend.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it was definitely the turning point for us.
In that moment, in that time of year, did you have doubts? Did you second guess things, or did you have people to lean on to say, look, all you got to do is stay the course? How did that process play out for you?
Well, a little bit of each. You know, I think Kyle was there to help out a lot and just basically told us all to stay on course and, you know, just get it figured out. Obviously, we were missing something with mechanical issues, and I was trying to make up for it, you know, in weeks coming to try to get a win to make up for those issues, and that didn't work out. That doesn't work. So, you know, we kind of found our groove after that. We went right to Iowa the next weekend and won our first race of the season. So, you know, it was just a matter of everybody starting to gel and trying to figure everything out and get over the disappointment from, you know, not grabbing some wins early in the year.
Chatting with 2015 Camping World Truck Series champ Erik Jones, also the Rookie of the Year, the first time that's ever been done. And, Erik, a lot of young talent in the Camping World Truck Series. I think 7 races were won by teenagers this year. Give folks an idea of the talent level coming up now through the ranks, starting with the Camping World Truck Series, because the stable seems pretty full.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, you know, to be a part of that group this year and see everybody that was coming into the series and see everybody that was as strong as they were. It's going to be fun to watch next year. I mean, there's 2 guys replacing. There's 1 guy replacing me and 1 other guy coming into KBM that are both young. Obviously, William Byron's very young. Christopher's actually older than me, so I can't really say he's young. But you know, there's definitely a lot of youth in the truck series, and I think that's good. It's kind of a changing of the guard. You know, for so long the truck series was a place for guys to kind of go and race, you know, the Mike Skinners and the Ron Hornadays, and now all of a sudden, you know, you still have that. You still have, obviously, Matt Crafton and Timothy Peters and those guys, but now you got a ton of young guns kind of coming in and mixing everything up.
Seems like, to me anyway, like yesterday, I don't know if it does to you or not, but a couple of years ago, here you are minding your own business, running the Snowball Derby, and you beat Kyle Busch. Next thing you know, you're in the big seat there and running for a championship. Give folks an idea of how surreal that might seem for you to try and build your career, and suddenly in that one moment, everything clicks for you, and next thing you know, you've got the big opportunity.
Yeah, it's really weird to look back on it. You know, you think about, or I think about when I was going in to run that race, that, I didn't really have an opportunity for this year, or not this year, but 2013 and 2014 or anything after that. I didn't know what I was going to do, and all of a sudden after that race, I got an opportunity with KBM, and things just started clicking from there. We won a race, and then we started winning more races in 2014, and getting into a full-time schedule this year. Everything just kind of worked out for the best, and getting with Kyle and him helping open some doors for me over at JGR and get my feet in the door there, and now being able to go over to JGR for a full-time Xfinity schedule next year. It's just been a pretty crazy progression that people work, as hard as they do to get me in a car for a full season. That's just a really surreal feeling for me as a driver.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think one of the most impressive things about your season was you knew you were going to run for the championship in the Truck Series with some Xfinity sprinkled in. Next thing you know, Kyle gets hurt at Daytona. You're running more Xfinity than you planned. You're in a Cup car. With all that swirl going along, did that help, or was it something that you really just had to kind of overcome? Because, man, there were several weekends this year where you were the busiest guy at the track, it seemed like.
I think it helped. Looking back, yeah, it was a lot on my plate, but the Truck Series was always the first race of the weekend, and that was always the race I could focus on the most, no matter what else was going on. And being in the Xfinity car and then being in the Cup car, anytime I could get back in the truck after driving those, it just made it easier. I know at Texas for sure, getting in the Cup car and then hopping in the truck, it was 100 times easier to drive the truck at the start of the race. And I had an advantage there. I was on the track all day. I was in the Cup car, the Xfinity car, and the trucks had to sit around, and all those guys, never got to race on the track till race time. So that's I just saw it always as a pretty big advantage for me, having extra track time at every place we got to go, and getting in a faster car and then going back to a slower car is definitely a pretty big advantage for any driver.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. Chatting with Erik Jones, the 2015 Camping World Truck Series champ. Erik, I think a lot of folks believe that once you win the championship, it's all relief, and then you go celebrate, and, of course, you do that. But, man, if anything, you might be getting even busier now. Give folks an idea what your schedule is going to look like this week before we head into the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, it does get even busier. We got the banquet today, obviously, tonight, and then throughout this week, I got to go do somewhat of a media tour. It actually doesn't really start till after Thanksgiving. Then I'm back to Detroit, San Antonio, then Vegas for the Cup banquet. So everything it's pretty jammed up here in the next few weeks. But I welcome it. There's a lot worse things that I could be doing.
Absolutely. Thanksgiving plans? You headed home with the family, or what you going to do?
I am, yeah. It'll be nice to get home, and I haven't been to Michigan in probably 3 or 4 months, so it'll be nice to kind of go home and especially see everybody and hang out with them and go to dinner with all my buddies and just kind of talk about the season and get to see them all again.
Absolutely. Congratulations, man, on a strong season. Look forward to catching up with you out in Vegas.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
There you go. Erik Jones, the 2015 Camping World Truck Series champion and the Rookie of the Year. He closed it out at Homestead Miami Speedway on Friday night. So a remarkable season for Erik Jones, and who would have thought it all started with a win at the Snowball Derby?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible, and obviously to see where they've come from and to be able to accomplish the things they've accomplished. I mean, they beat out some of the best teams in the business, some of the best drivers in the business, and guys that have a lot of experience doing it, and here to win Rookie of the Year and the championship all in the same year.
Now, you said you used to not be able to do that.
I don't think so. I think the rule always used to be that you could either pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And somewhere, I think they've changed that. So it's the stat that's the first time that's ever happened, but I'm not sure that
maybe the first time it was allowed
right,
to ever be.
Well, maybe not necessarily this year, but in the last few years. And but to still, I mean, to be able to have a level enough head on your shoulders to go in and say, okay, we know what we need to do these last X amount of weeks, to have the crash at Phoenix, to not get flustered. I think it's kind of scary, to be honest with you, because I think he's going to – I mean, obviously he's proved that he's extremely talented. He's done a great job in the Trucks, Xfinity, and in the Cup Series, filling in for Matt and Denny both. So,
and a lot more seat time than he was expecting this year, and that's got to accelerate the learning curve.
I think so, and to get in good cars. I think that more than anything, to be in good equipment in all 3 series and to know that you've got a car capable of going out and winning the races, I think that's huge. To have that opportunity. So, at the end of the day, though, we talk about opportunities all the time and making the most of them. And obviously right now he's making the most of them and doing a great job. So definitely congratulations to Erik on the championship, because I know that, at the end of the day, that's something that he's going to take on the rest of his career. He might win, 10 championships across the board, but that first one's always going to mean a lot.
Yeah, the one you'll never forget for sure.
Exactly.
Sort of like your very first girlfriend or something like
Right,
that.
exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
And how about this? We talked a little bit with him about it. The youth in the series, 4 rookies in the top 10. Tyler Reddick still only in his second year, finishes second. Cameron Haley, Daniel Hemrick, and Spencer Gallagher, all rookies in the top 10 in the standings.
And all did a great job. I mean, I think you can look at that top 10 in points in general and say every one of them had a stellar year. And it's crazy to think that it comes down to the end and there is as big of a points gap as there was, because I feel like there were so many great stories. Spencer had some races where he led and ran up front. John West Townley picked up his first win. Ben Kennedy ran up front and ran good. Daniel Hemrick led laps. I mean, you can look at all those guys and just say, man, they had a great season. And, it always comes down to one, but at the end of the day, there's only one going away, and that's Erik Jones, and he did a great job.
Absolutely, he did. All right, we'll take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. On the way out, we'll let you hear what Matt Crafton had to say. He won the Camping World Truck Series race at Homestead. On the other side of the break, we'll switch gears to the Xfinity Series. The champ, Chris Buescher, will join us.
Well, the score. A dominating victory, but it wasn't all easy all the time. You had some good, strong running there with John Hunter Nemechek.
Oh, yeah, John Hunter Nemechek. The truck that was just a rocket ship was the 51 Daniel. I mean, he was flying, and I'm like, man, did he put tires on that thing when he went by me? But like I said, it was a lot of fun, we were a little bit off on the first run, just got a little bit tight through the center of the corner, and Junior just made all the right calls and just kept working and communicating and trying to make it a little bit better and better in each and every time, and we did that. And on that last stop, these guys did a really good job, and this thing was really, really good on that last run.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The Cascadia Evolution is the latest innovation from Freightliner Trucks, the official hauler of NASCAR. Powered exclusively by the Detroit Integrated Powertrain, the Cascadia Evolution achieves up to a 7% increase in fuel economy over the first-generation EPA 2010 compliant Cascadia model, keeping you on the road and in the race longer. For more information, visit FreightlinerTrucks.com. Freightliner Trucks, a division of Daimler Trucks North America. Freightliner Trucks. Run smart.
It's all over at Martinsville, Virginia. Richard Petty has pulled it off.
Throwback Thursday. Classic MRN race broadcasts on MRN.com.
Waltrip will win the track race to turn 3. Earnhardt gets him. Hard into the wall goes Waltrip. Hard goes Earnhardt. Everybody else spins either way.
Out of the number 4 corner down to the line. Neil Bonnet is going to win. The Northwestern Bank 400. He'll beat Waltrip a 2-car length.
What a finish here at North Wilkesboro.
Throwback Thursday. Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern on MRN.com.
Hi, I'm Miss Sprint Cup Kim Kuhn. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Rallying back from some late race adversity, Kyle Larson rising to the top when it matters the most. To the top of the racetrack he'll go, through 3, through turn 4, and headed to the start-finish line.
Austin Dillon will give it one last shot. It will not be enough. Off turn number 4 and across the stripe for the 3rd time in his career. Kyle Larson is going to victory lane. Austin Dillon runner-up.
And Chris Buescher finishes today in the 11th spot. He is the 2015 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion.
And joining us on the guest line now, the driver of the number 60 Fastenal Ford Mustang and the champion in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Chris Buescher. Congratulations, man. You knew what you had to do going in, and I know sometimes you want to kind of bust out of that box a little bit, but staying the course and sticking to the plan pays off with a championship. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That's it's not the most fun way to run the last race of the season, but we did what was necessary to make sure that we could bring home the hardware, and we were able to pull that off. So that was a pretty special weekend.
Chris, throughout the course of the race, there was a lot of strategy playing out, and obviously it worked out well for you. You caught the caution at the right time, but were you ever nervous? Was there ever a time throughout the course of the race where you were like, man, I don't know if what we're doing is exactly where we need to be at?
Really, the most nervous I was is when we got lapped. The 42 and the 54, they set such an incredible pace. When there was only a handful of cars on the lead lap, 4 or 5 there, I wasn't as nervous at that point. But when they came up, I thought that was pretty quick for them to be coming back around. And, they were really those 3 or 4 that were class of the field, and it made us all look bad. But
after I realized that everybody we were in the championship hunt with was a lap down as well, or within 1 or 2 laps of us, I felt pretty good about it. I mean, it was nerve-wracking, but we never got out of our 13th place clinch spot. We never really got far away from that. So, and then knowing that the 42 was as dominant as they were, I had a pretty decent feeling that one of the other contenders wasn't going to be able to pull off the win. So we were in good shape most of the day. It was a little bit stressful, but we were in the right spot.
And how cool was it? Kyle Larson said from Victory Lane, you mentioned how dominant he was, that he didn't want to do a burnout because he didn't want to take any of the spotlight away from you. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was a class act right there. And I didn't find that out until after the race and everything was over. But, really, really neat of him and got a lot of respect for that. It was pretty neat to let us enjoy what we worked through all year. And, he had every right to celebrate. I mean, that was a pretty dominating performance from those guys. So that was, like I said, class act of them to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you guys had some dominating performances yourselves. Beginning of the year, you had some really strong runs throughout. Really, the course there, you guys were, a threat to win pretty much every week. Take us through your year. Kind of give us an idea. What got you to that point of where you could get into Homestead and really kind of cruise along.
I think a lot of it was just starting this year off where we left last year, and guys worked really hard to make sure we were able to carry that momentum into 2015. We started off Daytona, a complete 180 of our last year's season, and finished second there. And then, as we got in the year, we were aggressive. We took chances that put us in good spots. We got our win at Iowa with a pretty dominant car all weekend. The Dover win. Pretty awesome run at Bristol until the last green-white checker. Still holding a grudge against that place until I get to go back and redeem ourselves. But there's a handful of others that we're in good contention to win. And then you look at the days that weren't going well, and Darlington keeps coming to mind. Practice was rough on us, and this team worked so hard throughout practice in 100-plus degree weather to make sure that they could get it turned around and good for the race, and we did. And we went out there and got a top 5, had a great points day, and that was a lot of what we needed right there.
What would you say, you mentioned Darlington there, but what would you say, if there was one, was the biggest uh-oh moment for you this year that kind of gave you the most concern?
Well, Richmond was our worst race, and when we went to Richmond, it ended up 20th. That was a rough race. That was not where we expected to be there. We just struggled, and we knew that we had to be better than that, and we had to be better than that going back to that race. And we were able to do that. We picked up a lot the next time back, but that was a tough weekend. And the fact that was our worst weekend is a lot of why we're being able to sit here right now and say we're champions, because we didn't have those DNFs. Our guys made sure we didn't have equipment failure all year. I mean, it was a very consistent year, but it was also a great year of having a lot of speed at the majority of the racetracks we went to.
Yeah, it absolutely made it pay off for sure. Some of the numbers: 2 wins, 11 top 5s, 20 top 10 finishes in 33 starts. Strong no matter what series or what competition you're running against. But we were talking with Erik Jones a little bit ago, Chris, and asking him about, you win the championship, you have your celebration and kind of some relief along the way. But, man, you're right back on the horse, busy as can be. Give folks an idea what your schedule looks like here the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. I am not complaining. Let me get that out there first off. This is exactly what we signed up for at the beginning of the year and the situation we hope to be in. So, we're going to go out here and we're going to our banquet this evening. We got a bunch of rehearsals coming up. We're going to go out there and enjoy it with all the teams and all the teams that were out there this year, and we're able to pull off top 5 finishes in the point standings. And it's special because everybody works so hard to get to this point. They deserve a place to come, relax, have a little bit of fun, and listen to stories. So we'll go through that. Now that they crowned Kyle Busch as the champion on the Cup side, we got the Vegas banquet coming up in, that's next week.
Yeah.
So I'll be heading out there for, as well as Erik, I believe, to go out there for 3 or 4 days and do some more media out there. I think I've bought 3 or 4 different wardrobes for just Vegas weekend. I'm not a very stylish person, I guess, so they weren't happy with what I had.
You are now, that's for sure.
Yeah, we are now. We're good.
You know, when you win a championship, it's never a bad thing to buy more clothes. I mean, I feel like that if you're buying clothes for banquets, it's usually a good sign. But I know a couple of the guys on your crew, one of which or two of which actually have been on teams that I've been on over the years. I know you got a great crew chief in Scott Graves. Kind of give us as you're celebrating with these guys, talk about your guys because they really. You mentioned it earlier, they worked really hard, but looking at your guys and watching week in and week out, I feel like you have a great team around you of guys that really, helped propel you guys to this championship.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And this is the second season with the majority of the same guys. We've had a couple of changes. Our Avery, from our front end mechanic from last year, had his second kid and won it off the road this year. So we got Alex from the Cup side there. We got Jake, which I believe is the one that one of the guys that has worked with you in the past, and he's a bit of a goofball. Keeps everything light around us, but there's all these great people that make this work, and it's not just one person doing it every week. There's a massive amount of effort that goes into it, and just so proud of what they're able to accomplish. And like I said, with 0 DNFs and no equipment malfunctions, I mean, that's on them. I mean, that's how hard they worked to make sure we didn't have an issue when we went to the track. We never had something go wrong that we could prevent. It was everything that was in our control, we executed perfectly.
Well, I don't care how good you are. That's just unheard of. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
It's very hard to do. So I'm very proud of them for pulling that part off.
How cool was it to have your parents there with you winning that championship yesterday? They seemed like the most nervous couple in the whole place.
I'm sure they were terrified. That's pretty normal of them, though. It was nice to have them out for the season-ending one. They don't get to come to many of them. They stay pretty busy back home in Texas, but it was cool for them to come hang out. They get to go to the banquet tonight. I'm gonna goof off a little bit out there as well, and then it's back to the usual for them, and we'll head back to actually going fishing on Tuesday, and then back to Charlotte to get back in a rhythm.
Well, I work with both Jake and Alex, and I have a feeling tonight at the banquet, it's going to be a little bit wild. I'm sure you guys are going to be having a lot of fun. So congratulations, man. I'll tell you, I think from all of us here and obviously watching you each and every week, I think what you guys did, as you said, was pretty amazing. It's pretty awesome to watch, and definitely huge congratulations from me on winning that championship. And I'm excited you get to go have a little bit of fun and go celebrate that tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Thank you guys both for keeping with us all year, and we'll take a little break here and make something noteworthy out of 2016.
Everything all buttoned up for 16 now. All the indications are you're going to be right back in the same spot, right?
I have no clue. I have not a clue right now. I'm just glad this season's over. I'm not gonna lie. I am very glad it's over. The pressure's off. The nerves are back to normal. Now we get to work on 2016 and see what that may bring.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, man, on a fine season. Look forward to catching up with you out in Vegas.
Thank you very much. See you there.
Chris Buescher, the champion in the Xfinity Series for 2016, who drove the number 60 Fastenal Ford Mustang to a title yesterday, or rather on Saturday, I should say. And, they really did earn it. And it is unheard of to not have any mechanicals or any DNFs through a year. That's how you win titles right there.
Absolutely. I mean, he mentioned it, too, the days that you're off, finishing okay. When your worst finish of the year is 20th. I mean, granted, that's not where you'd like to be at, but if that's your worst one of the year, if a guy has a bad day and crashes out early, you're 20 points that's difference in finishing 20th and 40th. Yeah. So, definitely did a great job, and like I said, hats off to those guys. I mean, they're a great group of guys. Yeah. I watch them a lot throughout the course of the year, and like
just
I said,
seem to enjoy each other's company. Yeah,
they're a little out there. They're a little crazy, but I think that's what makes them work so well and makes it so much fun.
Absolutely. Another time out here on Motorsports Monday. As we go to break, we'll let you hear from the winner of Saturday's Xfinity Series race. It was Kyle Larson who got his third career victory there. On the other side, we'll chat some more, let you hear from some of the guys who were in contention but didn't win the Cup Championship, and where in the world is Two-Spotter?
Let's start with that last restart where you got shuffled back to fifth and what you had to do to get back to take the lead.
I seem to get nervous, I guess, on these last restarts here every year. I've given away a few here at Homestead. I messed up the last restart and did it once again, but I was able to have an awesome car, awesome Crest Chevy to, once it all settled in, to get back, up top against the wall where it seemed like where only me and Kyle could run, and was able to get rolling and catch Austin pretty quick. And, he was running really aggressive once I closed into a couple car lengths where he just entered a little too low and straight and fast and plugged the wall and was able to turn underneath him. So hats off to all my guys, though. This car was amazing, so fast. Each year I have such a good car when we come to Homestead, and it just gets better and better.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Halsby Second Generation is your source for refurbishment of your existing trucks. We specialize in the reconditioning of vocational type trucks, ready-mix trucks, dump trucks, and waste trucks. Extend the life of your current trucks today and give yourself a viable option to purchasing new units, especially in your lower volume markets. At Halsby Second Generation, we perform as much or as little work you require. For more information, visit halsby.com. Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Hey, I'm Joey Logano. Now back to Joey Meyer and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday. How does Joey Meyer have a radio show?
Always one of our favorite rejoins, and we always love it when the guys bust on Joey Meyer. But my goodness, this weekend, even though – oh, wait, what's that? I think that's the spotter hotline.
I think it is.
Yes, Commissioner. Are you there?
Absolutely. Just checking on you guys, making sure my seat's getting warm.
Yeah, it is. Justin's keeping it warm, and he even has the professional headsets on as well, so he's all fixed up.
All right. Well, you won't get in any trouble then. You guys are doing a really good job, and I appreciate it.
All right. So what's going on with you?
Palm trees, coconuts, and sunshine right now, my friend. Couple of pina coladas sitting out here. Why, the white sandy beaches? No, not even remotely close. Just hanging out at the airport, actually. We've got a little bit of an Xfinity and truck banquet going on down in the Fort Lauderdale area, which Team Penske was fortunate enough to capture their third Owners' Championship in a row. So those guys are over there celebrating. And I'm doing the pilot thing, a little bit of aviating today. We got the airplane down in Tamiami Airport, and we're going to move it up to Fort Lauderdale here in a little bit and just get ready for our departure to head back home.
Well, it's in the 30s, I think, here this morning.
Yeah,
it's
thanks a
supposed
lot
to get
for
high
rubbing
40s.
it in.
Yeah, yeah. So we appreciate that. Even though you're in an airplane, it's still warmer than it is here.
Yeah. So we were just talking earlier with Chris Buescher about the Xfinity Championship, and you guys on the Penske side won the Owners' Championship there, and Brad actually locked that up. I think was it after the win at Texas locked that up.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Those guys have done a really good job, and one of the overlooks that we've had in the last couple of years was we won it with so many different drivers and different crew chiefs. You know, the core group remained the same, but it's kind of unusual to be able to have the success that those guys have been fortunate enough to have with multiple crew chiefs and upwards of 5 drivers in 1 year. So I think that's pretty interesting.
So give us your impressions of what went on yesterday and into the night at Homestead. I guess we couldn't finish up without a little more rain to delay things a little bit, but Kyle Busch wins the race and the championship, even though he had to get by Kevin Harvick, who did it last year. Your impressions of what we saw yesterday?
You know, for multiple years in a row now, I believe Homestead has shown why it's a great showcase to bring a triple-header showcase weekend to it. It was the initial track to have variable banking. The track has done a very good job of maintaining that racing surface from top to bottom. You saw multiple cars able to run top to bottom fast. You didn't have to just slam your car against the wall, and you didn't have to bottom feed at the white line. Everywhere in between was good in all 3 series. Unfortunately for the 2 car, we again had a race where we led, I believe, the most laps, and there at the end we weren't able to capitalize on a late restart where Kyle came around and led the race at the end and won. I find it very interesting that for the last 2 years in a row, we've had our champion crowned at Homestead that won the race. So it's an unusual situation where victory lane for the 2nd year in a row wasn't used at the racetrack, and I think that's kind of a unique opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I look at your guys' season, and obviously, Joey, you guys had a great season by all accounts, and wasn't quite in the running there at the end for the championship, but really were all the way up until the final race. So how was it going into Homestead, knowing that you're going to have a competitive car, leading the most laps, ultimately not pulling off the victory, but being in contention for it all night? How do you approach a race like that where you can be the upset or the spoiler, but at the same time trying to race respectful, really, with the guys that are going for the championship?
To finish in the top 10 in points is an honor in itself, but there's such a huge monetary gain in each spot that you go from 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th up to the first place spot. So that's one of the things that charges your team up, knowing that for your company you can go gain 1 spot or 2 spots in points. Secondly, we had a situation where the Texas tire was the same tire we ran at Homestead, a very similar setup from Texas, and obviously we led 312 laps at Texas. So we were really looking forward to Homestead. We had a team test there with Joey, and both cars felt very confident, albeit on 2 different setups going into that race based on practice speeds. And that track is one of those tracks that Brad likes because the tires wear out, the speeds fall off, and the guy that punishes his tires roughly early on will pay the penalty later on, and that's right up at Brad's and Paul's wheelhouse. And the race played out exactly how we thought it would. Fortunately, we didn't get any rain interruptions, but staying motivated was easy for our guys. It's weird. We think we had a really good season. We've led a ton of laps, but we look back at California as our only race win, and we were kind of disappointed in that. So we really wanted to come out of Homestead trying to get that second victory of the year, but capitalizing and ending the season with an uptick, if you will, coming off of a heart-wrenching issue at Martinsville and a heart-wrenching issue at Texas, and then really ran mediocre at Phoenix. So you really want to finish this 2015 off with a bang of sorts. Even though we finished third, we feel that our performance was up there amongst the best group. I mean, quite honestly, the guys that finished first, second, and chase, we finished right behind them. I know we're not third in points, but that's who the guys we were racing and competitive with throughout the night. So that you carry your hat off and lay your head down at night knowing that our cars are competitive. It's just a matter of being able to execute 4 laps at Texas or 10 laps at Homestead, and we got multiple more victories throughout the year.
Chatting with Joey Meyer, the normal co-host of Motorsports Monday, Brad Keselowski's spotter, Justin Allgaier filling in for him today. But let's, Joey, want to take a couple calls here. We got some fans on our fan forum hotline. That's 844-4-ASK-MRN. The first one I wanted to get to was number 11, Daryl. That was Tracy in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, this is Tracy from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. My question is how you can miss the first 11 races of the year and still be running for a championship.
There you go. Could you hear that one, Joey?
Absolutely, yeah. That's a very easy question because before Kyle Busch missed a single race, before any driver, any team, any hauler even showed up in Daytona, we had a set guideline that the industry went by, and it was established and maintained by Kyle Busch after he was catastrophically injured in Daytona. He met the guidelines. That's simple. That's all you have to say. But if somebody who doesn't want to give Kyle Busch the honor of being the champion, let's just award him with last place for those first 11 races, and that'll make you feel better. Let's just say he finished 44th, okay? Well, there you have it. He finished 44th. You know what? He's still our champion because he went by the guidelines that was set forth by NASCAR. And until the guidelines change, we've had different point systems throughout the year. Now, would have Dale Earnhardt won 7 championships? Well, we don't know that, but he did win 7 championships because the points system was established when he won them. Gordon, everybody says he would have won 7 or 8 if he'd have had different point systems, but he didn't. The rain situation in Phoenix last week, everybody's up in the air about, oh, my God, it's the rain. When we started the race, all the race teams knew if you meet halfway and we have a delay with weather, the potential exists for that race to become official. We all know the rules going in. Yeah. Now, if they had changed the rules mid-year, I think that would have been completely inappropriate. But in this case, it wasn't. It was a set forth guidelines. Kyle Busch met. Congratulations to Joe Gibb Racing and those guys.
Well, I mean, we talked about it already, is that, obviously to go out and to win the last race of the year, to win races throughout the course of the season, and to put yourself in that position is a tremendous challenge. I mean, obviously, all 43 race teams every week are trying to accomplish that same thing. But let me ask you this: do you like the system that we have now? Do you like the rules per se that we have now? I mean, obviously, our sport is about taking the rule book and saying, okay, what is the absolute max that I can put on all of these lines? Do you like the rules, Joey? And do you think that they should be changed, or do you think they were good where they're at?
I think if they were to tweak the rule to include only the top 25 in points or the top 20 in points, I think people might be a little happier. Kyle, the rule was he had to be in the top 30 in points.
Yeah.
But the simple fact is Kyle didn't miss those races. He wanted to be there. Missing the races is when you take time off or you go away, or when you miss work is because you're home away from vacation or you called in sick. It's different. There's different scenarios that allowed Kyle to remain. We've seen other drivers. Denny Hamlin. The funny thing was Denny Hamlin missed a race. Nobody complained when he made the chase.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson has missed a race. Nobody was complaining that had he won a race, he was going to be in the chase. I think if Dale Jr. misses 15 races next year and qualifies for the chase, nobody's going to complain. It just has to do with who does it, how they do it. And right now the guidelines are set forth with 30 races or 30 in points. You win a race, you're in the chase. And that's what they are. I would like to see him tweak it a little bit, possibly. That would be my only recommendation. If they were to do it, I could see them doing that. But I don't. Yeah. It is what it is, man. We all race. Let's say we show up in January. We know what the rules are, and he did exactly what he had to do.
All right, we got one more on Ask MRN from Brandon in Iowa.
I have to say it is very interesting, and I'm actually very glad to see Kyle Busch win a championship. You go back, he missed the first 11 races. He did so with a broken leg. That is what you call endurance. He shattered his vertebrae at Phoenix in the month of May and won the Indy 500. Still badly damaged back. So E for endurance, A for effort. Who shattered his vertebrae at Phoenix, came back in the month of May and won the Indy 500 with still a very badly damaged back. So E for endurance, A for effort.
All right. I think the call was kind of jumbled there, but you get the idea. The guy was supportive of somebody being able to come back from such an injury. And, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. He had a compound fracture, which means the bone is sticking through the skin. That's as bad as it gets.
Absolutely,
yeah. This is the ultimate team sport. Motorsports Monday co-hosts, myself, Woody, everybody that's been on the show has talked about a team effort. The rest of the team was there every race. The crew chiefs, the car chiefs, the team engineers, the tire changers, everybody was there for the entire race. Now, I realize that Kyle Busch is crowned the championship from the driver's standpoint, but there's also in the Cup Series a owner's championship that was won by that team and by their owner. And that wouldn't have been done had Kyle Busch not been doing in the performance level he was at for the races that he showed up for and met the criteria. It's a really good job of Erik Jones and those guys filling in to keep that team working solidly throughout that year. And then when Kyle came back, they started winning races within 5 races of coming back. And he didn't win easy races. He didn't sit around and just drive around and fall into these races. He won 4 of them, with one of the first ones being a road course where you had to use both legs to get around that track. So it's hats off to those guys. They earned it. 2 or 3 years from now, that trophy will still be sitting on somebody's mantle, and there won't be any asterisks next to it, and nobody will even remember that he missed 11 races.
All right, so I have a question. Should I break my legs at some point? Because, Brad went on and had his leg injury and wins a lot of races in a championship.
That's right.
Kyle has his leg injuries, goes on and wins a lot of races, wins a championship.
But you're asking Joey for medical advice here?
Well, I feel like, with somebody that has had experience, not necessarily breaking his, or hurting his legs, but I feel like there's got to be something to that. What is it, Joey?
Well, what's one of the things I always tell one of the actors or showmen before they go on stage, right? Where they say,
break a leg.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason that saying came out, because it allows you to concentrate at a little bit higher level. And we've seen it throughout the course of this series in industry. Whenever somebody's sick or injured, that raises their game. Denny had the knee issues, and he raised his game. Brad, of course, broke his ankle and won Phoenix. And then Kyle Busch's adventures this year with the multiple leg injuries and damage he had. It makes you concentrate a little bit more. If that's what it takes, Justin, next year at Junior Motorsports, I'm not sure those guys are going to be game for it. But heck, man, we might be able to have a shop sweepstakes to see who can even break your leg for you.
Okay, you know what? You guys have run this thing off the rails. I don't know if either of you heard, but yesterday was Jeff Gordon's final race. Here's what he had to say afterward.
Jeff, I know it's very early after your final race, but your thoughts, your emotions at this particular time.
Well, unfortunately, I'm a little disappointed that we weren't more of a threat for the championship, but beyond that, it's absolutely been a dream come true to get the opportunity to race at this level, to have the success that I've had, to have the sponsors that we've had, to have the fans that we have. The first one in the car was the team and Rick Hendrick, and then my family, and that's all that really matters to me. Those people are so important to me and make this all worthwhile. And I told everybody before the race, and no matter what, we're going to be happy and celebrate. That's exactly what we're going to go do. I had such a blast knowing that we had a good race car and could battle with these guys. And me and Martin had a heck of a battle there, but unfortunately it wasn't for the championship. Congratulations, by the way, to Kyle Busch. What a great driver, what a great champion, and all he's been through this year, nobody's more deserving than him.
Closes out an iconic career, the third winningest driver in the history of NASCAR, Jeff Gordon. Mark it, Hall of Fame 2020.
There you go. And, guys, one of the most remarkable things to me about Jeff Gordon, 23 years at the sport's top level, and not just riding at the end of his career, but competitive up until the very end.
Yeah, I mean, I said something to somebody earlier that to be able to hit the retirement button and to go into Homestead going for a championship, I said I'm sure he wished he would have maybe prolonged it a little bit, knowing if he would have known that he was going to be going for a championship, but still an amazing career. And Joey, you've been on the spotter side of watching him race. I've been fortunate enough to be on the driver's side. It's pretty incredible to see somebody's career be that good for that long.
Well, and the competitive nature in his very last year, we'll talk about with his efforts to be able to capitalize on the Martinsville win, go into Homestead with the new format and be able to compete at the high level, take the lead on one of the restarts, lead some of the laps during his last race before he actually turns into his new career in the TV broadcast. He'll definitely be able to bring some fresh perspective as Steve Letarts and the Jeff Burtons did this year, from being able on that racing surface, very, very fresh. And give the audience a taste of what it's going to be like in the near future.
Guys, got a couple more minutes left in the program here. Let's wrap up by looking ahead at 2016. Justin, you're moving over to Junior Motorsports there, one of the most competitive cars in the Xfinity Series garage. I know you got to be thrilled with that.
I am super excited. To be able to drive for Dale Jr. and Kelly Earnhardt and everybody over there, Junior Motorsports. Obviously, their team has done a great job, not just last year, but this past year, but just over the course of time. Since their inception, and so to be able to go there and to be a part of that organization is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, driving the number 7 car, having Brant come along with me, but also joining some of their partners there. It's going to be a great time. I can't tell you how excited I am, and looking forward to trying to get back to victory lane. I'm probably going to have to race against Joey a little bit on the Xfinity side and try to beat those guys, which they've been extremely competitive over there, but. Maybe we can pull it off a couple of times. I don't know. Who knows what the future holds?
And Joey, from your perspective, we go to what we've all kind of been looking for. The low downforce package comes in full time next year.
Really, really excited. In the truck series, we've hired Daniel Hemrick. I believe I'll see spotting for him. Full time, same driver in all the trucks. That's really good for those guys. We have a multitude of driver lineups in the 22 Xfinity side, and then the low downforce package in the Cup cars. Really, really excited. I know we're running a little, going to close the show up, but I wanted to thank everybody at MRN. I hate that I wasn't there this morning for the show as our last show of 2015. We finished up our third year. I really want to appreciate our co-host with Justin filling in for me, but I really want to say thank you to work alongside of you, Woody, and our producer. I know Craig did earlier in the year, and now our new producer, Daryl. I just look forward to our future, even back starting up in January at Motorsports Monday, to be able to talk about this race and the sport that obviously both of us love so much, as well as Justin. And I'm really looking forward to 2016. I'm sad that 2015 is ending.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you calling in and being a part of the program, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Thanks, man. See you guys later. Have a good holiday.
Thanks. What about you? Holiday plans? What's going on?
Oh, I can spend Thanksgiving with some friends actually this year. Something new for us, and then I think my off season is busier than my racing season, so got a lot of work to do. But definitely been a lot of fun. Thank Joey for letting me take a seat, and thank you for letting me be on. It's been great.
Absolutely, a lot of fun for sure. Stick with us here on MRN.com. A lot of good programming coming up through the rest of the week, and we will see you next season on Motorsports Monday.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.